Pathways to Wholeness podcast. I'm Michael Warmoth, and I thank you for joining us for this next episode of meditative teaching. Please note that these meditations were recorded in a tropical environment with the windows and doors open, so you will hear birds and other sounds in the background. Try not to let them distract you from the words. Okay, let's just settle in, relax, maybe take a few breaths and just listen to the music before the teaching starts. An essential part of our journey is to come to understand the role that fear has been given and how that fear separates us from peace and gives us the illusion that truth and peace are far away or are lost or inaccessible. It's important to understand that fear for most of us has become a power. It determines what we will do and won't do. We listen to fear. Fear is a guide. If we are afraid of something, we avoid it. And for most of us, what it boils down to, so we are afraid of our authentic self. The ego, which we have been identified with for so long, has a very limited, constricted view of what and who we are, and what we are capable of. The authentic self is unlimited in its potential and possibility. And to the ego, it seems like the possibility of a terrifying monster out of control. This may seem a little exaggerated. The reality is that the decision to trust control and the ego are based on fear that was conditioned into us when the authentic self was allowed to express itself freely. We learned that it was not welcome for the most part, what was not welcome were emotional expressions, whether it was anger or grief or rage or even love. And so we instituted a program of control that would not allow the free expression of such feelings. The system used fear to keep the control in place. We came to fear ourselves, our authentic expression. We were taught to fear ourselves. And so, on the journey to reconnecting with ourselves, we encounter fear. We may not be conscious of it. We may not have a conscious experience of it or a conscious awareness of it, but we will certainly feel that somehow we are blocked. Letting go and surrendering, knowing the truth, peace. When we sit down to meditate, to become present, the resistance we feel is the fear telling us that it is not safe to release control. It's not safe to open the channel between the heart and the mind. The program we instituted broke the connection between the heart and the mind, so that we would not be conscious of the intelligence that the heart brings. So when we experience that resistance, when we sit and feel blocked, maybe frustrated, or maybe we judge ourselves or think there's something wrong with us, just know that the real issue is that we are afraid. We have to make some decisions and change some beliefs. It is ingrained in the ego that letting go is dangerous, that reconnecting with the heart is dangerous, that the authentic self is out of control and a threat to our survival. We must ask in the framework of truth if it is possible the authentic self is a threat, if connecting with the heart is dangerous, if there is really anything to fear. Our nervous system has been trained to operate at a low level of tolerance for strong emotions. We are overwhelmed if we have a sudden flush of rage or grief, which is why we don't just undo everything at once, which is why we don't normally become enlightened in an instant. although there is nothing to say that we can't. Our journey is to develop the ability to soothe ourselves and face the fear and allow ourselves to become open to strong feelings so that we can love fully, love ourselves, love our lives, love the world. We have the capacity to be an unconditional expression of love, but we have lived in fear of it. When we made the decision to control what was not welcome, we did not know that there was no way to separate what could be welcome and what couldn't. It's all or nothing. For many of us, feelings and emotions were discarded. We felt possibly even contempt for them. We judged emotional people and have done everything we can to not be seen as a victim to feelings. There is no way to know the truth if the heart is not involved. And so, this is our task, our journey. Come to terms with the fear of ourselves, to change our mind about what is important and what is true and what is real, and to make the decision that fear is not our guide. Fear is not the voice of truth. That there is no danger in being free. And now we can choose to be as present as possible to what is right now. And if there is fear or resistance, let us remind ourselves that we are in no danger, that there is nothing wrong, that we are safe. We do not judge the fear or condemn it. We're going to see it for what it is. It is a memory, a habit, form of protection that is obsolete and no longer needed. What lies within us is peace, beauty, truth, love, and light. Do we really want to resist that? Of course not. But we can see how it has come about that we would. The presence of fear and resistance does not mean anything negative. Let us not make meaning of it that it does not have. Let us remember that as much as we feel alone and separate is not true, there is a truth that is universal and absolute. There is one consciousness. That consciousness can be trusted. It is always here. It's not our job to control our lives in the world. Our peace comes when we we allow ourselves to be an open, free expression of that infinite consciousness. Let us fear the truth no longer. Let us open to light and love that is our nature. Thank you for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you'd like more information on these meditations and teachings, visit pathwaystosurrender.com. You might be interested in our other podcast, Pathways to Surrender. These are guided meditations designed to support you in letting go of whatever tensions or false ideas you might be holding about how things really are, and reaching a state of peace and surrender. That's Pathways to Surrender. Look for the next episode soon. We're uploading them every couple of days. See you next time.